Welcome to the Magic Tavern. What do you bring to the table?
All right, guys. We're up. We're live. Welcome to the first Saturday night stream. How's everybody doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking.
That's good. That's good. I'm glad. Glad to hear it. Let's see. So, decided to try something new. We're gonna. Oh, what did I do? Oh, there we go. Decided to try something new. We call it D&D Cold Brew. We're gonna do it every Saturday night. Sit and talk for a while. We got started a little late today because the storms were messing with my internet.
How dare it?
Yeah, but it seems to be over now, so we'll go with that. But anyway, D&D Cold Brew. We're going to every week take a topic in D&D, talk about how you could cold brew it, or how you could cold brew it, how you could brew it at home and mess around with it, add a little more flavor to your characters and or dungeons or whatever we're talking about that week. Just some fun stuff you can do with it. There's so many options now. There's so many books that there's so many things that even looking at it, I didn't know existed. It's fun. It's fun.
Oh, it is. Just listening to people talk about it all day and reading up on it. There's so many. I mean, there's optimal builds and then the normal stuff, which can or cannot be boring, but there's a lot of options, a lot of interesting things I've got in my head right now.
Yeah, I've if you can tell by the title of the stream, it is Barbarians this week. We decided for the first few, we're probably going to run through the major classes. So that means all of them. I don't know why I said major classes. All of them. And kind of talk through some of the subclasses and the fun stuff you could do with them. Special feats that would be good with them. Magic items that you should be gunning for if you're trying to get the most out of your build and all that fun stuff.
There's like the one guy that says we're going to start at the top with Barbarian, and
yeah,
his buddy's like, "What about Artificer?" He's like, "What about it?"
Yeah, what about it? Doesn't count. It's in an Eberron book. Nobody cares.
We will hit that one. Believe me.
We definitely will. We'll talk about the artificers for sure. But we started with the lovely player's handbook. You know, gotta start there. Which the artificer's not a part of. It's in Xanathar's Guide to Everything. No, Tasha's Cauldron.
Tasha's Cauldron. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where it is. It's also in the Eberron book.
Mm-hmm.
But
it is.
Nobody cares about Eberron. So,
man, let's start that. We have a few fans from Eberron.
There's only one D&D realm, and that's the Forgotten Realms.
Oh, you didn't do it.
No, it's just that's the one I grew up playing, right? I played in 3.3 and 3.5, and I mean, you know this. You were the DM. But
yeah, I was there.
Yeah, but we played the Forgotten Realms when it came out there, and it's the one I know the most. It's the one I'm the most comfortable with, so it's always the one that I identify with the most. So when, if you're not used to the channel, we love Magic the Gathering also. So when they decided to do the Forgotten Realms there, I was just like, all right, that sounds great. I'll actually know some of what we're talking about.
We were all in, man. We won't talk it, but they dropped a lot of the commander cards the last couple of days.
Oh yeah, they've gone nuts with it. We'll get to that Thursday.
Yeah,
so
not today.
One quick thing, they did go a little more flavorful with me in the D&D cards, and that's because they're not in standard, so they can just do whatever the hell they want as long as it makes sense in Magic. They just went for it, and I love it. But anyway,
for those that do love Magic, just one last comment. I did drop an article this morning. They did do D20s in the standard, but they saved all the other dice for Commander.
They did D10s. I saw a D8, I think.
So check it out if you like both, or if you haven't been in Magic for a while, you might check it out. It'd be worth getting in and messing around with some, maybe.
There's some cards that give you advantage. Anyway,
You're right.
Barbarians, the tried and true. Everybody knows what a barbarian is, right?
Absolutely.
But I think it's interesting because if you've been on TikTok at all recently, you know that there's been some discussion about barbarians not only using anger as the means for a rage, but using other emotions. But they keep pointing out, let's see if I can find it here real quick. Ba-ba-da-ba-dum. I had it and I lost it. Anyway, it just talks about it being a fierce emotion, not necessarily in anger. It says some of their, oh, there it is. For some, their rage springs from a communion with the fierce animal spirits. Others draw a roiling reservoir of anger at a world full of pain. For every barbarian, rage is a power that fuels not just a battle frenzy, but also uncanny reflexes, resilience, and feats of strength. They are the tank.
It's a mode they go into. It's
Yeah.
We'll get into some of the stuff, types that I ran into that would question, where the rage comes from. And it basically, like you said, it gives a lot of options for the player to decide that instead of saying, okay, you just got to be angry and you're just mad, you want to kill something. And, that's great. That's what your character is, but you can do so much more with it.
Yeah, no, there's definitely so much to do. But most of them, at least, what's the word I'm looking for? Man, words are escaping me tonight. It's not good. But the most common thing you see with barbarians is the, warrior from a tribe or a village in the mountains or, stuff like that. They don't always have to be that, That nowhere does it say he has to wear a loincloth and look like Conan the Barbarian.
Yeah, let's go to the stereotypes because the first thing, I'm way old school, so the first thing I think when you say barbarian is Conan.
Yeah.
And I look up pictures of barbarians, and it's got this guy with, like you said, a loincloth and a big, sword, and he's got a naked woman over his shoulder, of course,
Yeah.
Very retro, not compliant for today's games kind of thing.
Yeah, no, it's a very old school thing we think of, the old Conan the Barbarian, Red Sonja kind of look when you go to Barbarians, but there's so many other things. Like I think that's the first thing I would do is try to go against the stereotypes, like you said. If I was going to play a barbarian, I think I would play something small and
Well, yeah, to be fair, we do a lot of against type stuff.
yeah.
We like the weird characters. We like the weird builds. There's Panda's the optimizer. That's why I had him go ahead and build what he thought to be the optimal barbarian.
Okay, so this is a different one. This isn't Zect, or is it Zect?
I've got Zect here too, actually.
Okay.
That's a good build too.
Yeah.
He built and he's not here right now, but he told me, we were discussing this. He says, well, if you're going to go barbarian, optimal barbarian, he says you go half orc.
Really?
Yeah, that's exactly what I said. And because, of course, there's the this day and age, the first thing you think of, a lot of the new generation at least thinks of Goliath because of Grog, which is which they're in the top 5. Don't get top 3, I think. Don't get me wrong.
Hey, what's up, yo, dude?
But there's so much other stuff, And he said the half orc. Let me see if I can see what.
Okay. I've got the book right here. Half orcs, I get it because they have the, the strength bonuses and all that, which, I mean, technically nowadays you don't necessarily have to run with if you don't want to. But, I mean, if you're going off the base game, yeah, they get a +2 to their strength and +1 to constitution. Their speed's still 30. They get dark vision of 60 feet. I guess you get proficiency in intimidation automatically from menacing, and they get the relentless endurance. All right, maybe they are.
Yeah.
Savage attack.
There was the one he was, I can't remember what it was called, but the one he brought up was basically, they go down, they get up.
Yeah. That's that relentless endurance. If you drop them to 0, they drop to 1 instead.
And I mean, is that like continual? I mean, if they get back up and you knock them down to 0 again, are they back to 1?
You can only do it once per long rest.
Okay, that's what I thought. We'll make sure that was very clear.
Yeah.
But at least you got one, and then
Yeah.
as a barbarian, man.
As a barbarian, you end up getting another one, I think, somewhere along the way.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But let's go through
And
here. I
there's
mean, oh, go ahead.
sure.
No, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, you. Okay.
Let's go to the normal stuff. We'll get to the weird stuff later.
So the basic barbarian, you start out, at level 1. The big thing that everybody knows is I would like to rage.
I would like to rage.
Exactly. And the rage is interesting. It's the same for every barbarian. The bonuses you get, your path kind of dictates how it goes from there.
Mm-hmm.
But you get advantage on all your strength checks and strength saving throws. When you make a melee weapon attack using strength, you gain a bonus to the damage roll that increases as you gain levels as a barbarian, as shown on the rage damage column. And you have resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. If you're able to cast spells, you can't cast them or concentrate, and it lasts for 1 minute.
Yeah, that's that last one there. Is a detriment to some multi-classing, but that one resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing, man,
that's brutal. That's a lot of weapons.
That's what I look for in a tank, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think I like the limitation on them not being able to concentrate. Mm-hmm. Dude says, what's on the itinerary today? Today we're doing what we're going to call DnD Cold Brew. We are going to sit through and take a topic every Saturday and talk about it, whether it be a character class, a magic items, whether it be dungeons, whatever we want to talk about that week, and just kind of talk about how we're going to make it a little more flavorful, how to take the base model of it and how you can jank around with it to make something custom and cool and still within the legal realms of D&D, I guess, if you will. Yeah, and today it's the first time we're doing it, and we're talking about the Barbarian. Barbarians are cool. Cool.
Well, absolutely. I mean, every group could use one.
Oh yeah, they're tanks. They're absolute damage pits. You just throw them in there and go suck up all this damage for me real quick. I could really use that.
Absolutely.
But they get their unarmored defense at first level too, which as long as you're not wearing armor, you get a 10 plus your dex modifier plus your constitution modifier, which for a barbarian is usually pretty high. So, I mean, you're talking about a level 1 character with no armor that could have an AC of 16 easily.
Yes. Nothing scarier than a naked barbarian coming at you with a sword or an axe or something.
See, and that's where the loincloth comes in.
Thank God.
But you almost have to play them unarmored, right? Because if you do wear armor, you take the bonuses away, and then so there's just no point because the best armor you could get for a barbarian, what they have proficiency in light and medium armor and shields. Medium armor, you're not getting to that 17 AC. I mean, I'm sure you could if they were magic, but we're talking about level 1 character here. You're not going to beat that AC.
Oh, that was a lot of the discussion. I think they get proficiencies in medium to light armor.
Yeah. And shields.
Yes.
So does carrying a shield mean you're armored?
See, I don't think so.
But it's an armor proficiency.
Hang on a second. I got Hawkhead on, but he says his internet is down. His phone must be working.
Oh yeah, so he's probably talking to you on his phone then. But download Twitch on the phone.
Yeah, really?
Don't do that. It runs terribly.
I know. Honestly, you're right. Absolutely.
I mean, it runs fine. It's just so small and pixely at that kind of resolution usually. It works well on my tablet. But anyway, while you're looking that up, what was the other thing they get at first level? There's one more thing. Oh no, it's just unarmored defense and rage. You get 2 rages at first level, and your rage damage is +2. Which surprisingly, it only gets up to +4 all the way to 20th level. Which is, I didn't notice that earlier. But I guess they really don't need that much of a damage buff when it's that kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, talking about armor, while I'm waiting for an answer on this, Mountain Dwarf was one that I hadn't heard for a while. I guess it's because it's been a stereotype for so long back in the past of D&D that a lot of people are passing it up. But now 5e gave us the Mountain Dwarf with a strength of +2.
I would have to do the numbers, right? I would be willing to bet that the human variant could get close to the same as a half orc. I think I'd get so many feats that I could make up for the stuff that they would get and then surpass it by the time we got to 20th level.
Yeah, that was about number 4 behind the 3 we've talked about, because they get so many feats.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, we'll talk about it here in a little bit, but Lexi, my wife, is making a Goliath barbarian for a campaign, ironically enough, and they're a really good choice. they're really good, but it's not as optimized, I guess. I think it's more flavorful and fun because of their culture and the way they are. But I don't think it would be as efficient, if you will. All right.
Yeah, that also brings you to there are 2 things to consider besides the race. You've got, and background, of course, would help.
Yeah.
But you got to decide what kind of barbarian you're dealing with. Is he just going to be the tank? Is he going to be the upfront? There are some builds that have a lot of support.
Yes, there are
things to it,
especially once you get into the paths. There are some of the paths you can take that are much more support based for a barbarian, which I find really interesting because it's again against the norm of what you assume you're getting when you play with a barbarian.
But yeah, you should have options that venture you out a little bit.
Yeah.
We're talking about probably those that live off the land, not in the big cities, but they may have big cultures and villages and encampments and whatnot. They are attuned to nature, which brings to mind a lot of druids and rangers.
Yeah.
But besides that, you got to give some width and breadth to the character.
Yeah, I think the path is probably one of the last things we'll get into on the actual class because there's so many of them to talk about. But
yeah,
I think that's where it gets really, really interesting and where the flavor can really come in to doing a barbarian. What, just out of my own curiosity, what background did he choose for this half orc barbarian?
Yes, getting back to his optimum build, he picked the Totem Warrior.
No, not the path.
I'm sorry.
The background.
Oh, the background. That's right. Outlander.
Yeah, that's what I figured. That was the first one that came to mind was the Outlander.
That's the one. That's the go-to kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, it fits the most with a barbarian. I mean, if you're going stereotypical, most optimal build, it's almost impossible not to. But anyway, back to the. Oh, you got something else?
Yeah, if you're doing the variant human, what would be your top two or three choices of feats to pull out of that?
Oh, let's take a look at it because I mean
I could
my first one the first one that comes to mind is tough, where you just start gaining more hit points.
Oh yeah,
just to be an even bigger tank.
Absolutely.
But if I were to actually go look, there it is. I had to see what page it was. There's some in here that are.
That's the ones that give +1s in strength. Athlete.
Yeah.
Crusher. That sounds interesting. You can put that number +1 in either strength or con, which both helps him. 5 feet extra movement when you hit bludgeoning and attacks with advantage on a critical hit. Wow.
I think that I would. Yeah, Crusher's not bad. I think I would get Dual Wielder It gives you a +1 to your AC as long as you're wielding 2 weapons.
Nice.
You can use 2-weapon fighting even when the one-handed melee weapon you are wielding aren't light. So I can use 2 heavy weapons.
Wow.
And you can draw or store 2 weapons when you would normally only be able to do it with 1.
Go ahead.
I'd probably use alert just so I can get the initiative bonus, just to make sure that I'm going higher in the turn. I want to try to take out as many of them as I can before they can get to me. You get so many feats with that, it's ridiculous.
Does the barbarian, let's see, advantage on like grappling? It doesn't automatically get any of that.
No,
strength checks.
You could
when you're raging.
When you're raging, you do. Yes,
Yeah,
you would get the advantage on your grapples.
A grappler would be good if you wanted to use that outside the rage. And that's the discussion I got a lot of. It's like, well, we don't want to multi-class this or do this because you can't do it during rage. And I kept thinking, I was like, that's smart and everything. But what if you got a character who can like do things when he's not raging?
Yeah. A lot of times when people think of barbarian, all they think about is that 1 minute rage that they can do however many times a day based on their level, you know.
And that's fair, I understand, but
you could also give them resilient proficiency in saving throws using a chosen ability. The Tavern Brawler increases your strength or constitution.
if you do we're doing humans, so the half-orc Orcish Fury won't help. That's a racial.
Yeah, no. That, and I'd have to go through the other books. I'm sure I could find even more that would really optimize it if I wanted to. But if shields don't count, I would probably take Shield Master so I could use it as a hammer if I wanted to.
Yeah, I'm thinking you're right.
I think it
probably
does, which sucks.
It would make sense,
but it is what it is.
It's all good.
Well, let's see. At second level, they get the Reckless Attack. You can start. You get advantage on a melee weapon attack using your strength during the attack, but attack rolls against you have advantage as well. That's pretty much the either I'm going to take you out with this hit, the end, or I'm at full health and I don't really care how much damage you do right now. Like it doesn't bother me at all.
You're going into it, so, like I said, so recklessly that you don't care that they're going to be hitting you.
Yeah,
you'll take it. You take it and go on, right?
Yeah, and then you get Danger Sense, which gives you advantage on dexterity saving throws against effects you can see. So like spells, traps, things like that. You can't be blinded, deafened, or incapacitated though to use it, which is kind of obvious. Let's see. The other stuff's pretty obvious. Level 4, you get your ability score improvement, your extra attack at 5th level. 5th level, you also get fast movement, so your base speed would be 40 most of the time, depending on the race you chose instead of 30. Makes you even faster. Feral Instincts, you get advantage on initiative rolls, which is awesome.
Oh, gosh.
Additionally, if you are surprised at the beginning of combat and aren't incapacitated, you can act normally on your first turn, but only if you enter your rage first. So there's no sneaky attack on a barbarian.
No.
As long as they'll rage.
Yeah.
So your only way to do it, I guess, would be to catch them off guard and them not be able to rage for some reason.
Yeah, that's bad news for a rogue right there.
It is. It really is. Plus, they're hard to kill already. Yep. They've got higher ACs. They're tanks, and they get resistances on your weapons because you have to use certain weapons to get those sneak attacks, and they are all piercing or slicing damage, and so they get resistances on them. And so it just kind of sucks all together.
He's got one eye on you already, so.
Yeah. It's like, I see you, you sneaky little skunk. I'm going to kill you now. 9th level, they get the Brutal Critical, which is amazing. You can roll an additional weapon damage die when determining the extra damage for a critical hit with a melee attack. So it just makes it hurt even more. It
Listen, I
goes
think
it goes
that
to
was-
2 dice at 13th level and 3 dice at 17th level.
And I think that the orcish, that racial trait that I was talking about, I don't have it in front of me now, did the same thing, added a die.
Yeah.
So it's possible at 9th level that you could be adding, as a half orc, 2 die to the damage.
That's brutal.
That's brutal.
At 11th level, you get the Relentless Rage. You can keep fighting despite grievous wounds. If you drop to 0 while you're in a rage, you don't die outright. You can make a DC 10 Constitution saving throw. If you succeed, you drop to 1 instead. So there it is. You'd get 2 if you were a half orc, which is ridiculous. This thing just won't die. It just keeps coming.
It just keeps on coming.
Each time you use this feature after the first, the DC increases to 5 until a short rest. So it does it continually as long as you can keep making the roll.
Wow.
Which, that's crazy. That's amazing.
It just gets harder and harder to keep up, which makes sense.
Yeah.
That's good.
At 15th, you get Persistent Rage. Your rage is so fierce, it only ends early if you fall unconscious or you choose to end it. There's no other way to knock you out of it. 18th, Indomitable Might. If your total for a strength score is less than your strength score, you can replace it. So if my strength's a 20 and I roll anything under a 20, I rolled a 20.
Yeah, and don't you get a +4 or is it 5 on that?
For what?
Because you're replacing. Does that mean? Okay, somebody said this during the deal, and I wondered. They said that means a barbarian at this point always has a 24.
Yeah, you would, because your strength, if you're a strength check. So yeah, so by that time your strength should obviously be a +4.
Oh, I see it. It's
not
at the bottom. Duh.
if not higher. So
it's
if you replace it with a 20, you still get the plus. So it'd be a 24 at the least. You know, so it's always going to be pretty high.
Read Primal Champion though, and we might have to rethink that. Go ahead and read that one.
At 20th level, you embody the power of the wilds. Your strength and constitution score increase by 4. Your maximum score is now 24. Oh my god. Okay, so by 20th level, a 24 is what? Like a +7? +8?
Well, it's more like a +5 or 6.
Well,
no, 24.
Because +8, 18's a +4. I believe.
I always have trouble with this, and I always have to pull it up and look at it. That would be a. Oh God, you're right. +7.
Yeah, it's a +7. That's
Holy shit.
ridiculous. So the lowest you could roll on a strength check would be a 27.
Oh my God.
I'd never fail anything. It's amazing.
And then you're just adding to the arrogance and the hubris of this monstrosity by giving him that, because he's like,
At 20th level, they're all gods. I mean,
it's
they're
like,
unstoppable.
oh look, it's Tiamat. I'm going to go for a grapple.
Yeah, I would like to grapple Tiamat, please. You're still going to lose that.
Jesus.
I've seen Tiamat's numbers.
Yeah,
You're still not winning that.
they still do it.
Oh, they will absolutely still do it. But
They can grapple anything.
that's all the basics. I'm interested to go back to Panda's optimal, quote unquote, optimal build. What did he pick for weaponry? Because I'm assuming it's a big, great battle axe or a double-headed battle axe. Or
Well, he picked the great sword.
great
I'm
sword.
not sure why. Because I think it's the same on both sheets. Yeah, well,
Great sword. That one does confuse me.
yeah, he's got one's a +1, but was he going dual wielder? He was trying to. That was a 10th
okay, yeah. He went that way because it's a 2d6 instead of a 1d12.
Oh yeah, there
so
it is.
optimally, it'll do more damage.
Oh, that makes sense.
But
But
I would argue that if I dual wield, like a war pick, and do 1d8 with each,
yeah,
I have the higher chance. Oh no, 1d12. I'm sorry, I was thinking of 1d6.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, I mean 2d6 can only do 12 damage tops.
Yeah, but his build got plus. Well, it's got +6 because it's a +1 weapon. It would be normally a 2d6 +5 at 20. He's got 20 strength. He did not give him anything beyond that. Although, if you get up, this is level 10.
Yeah.
You go to level 20.
Yeah.
And strength. See if I get these kind of messed up around.
Your strength would be a +7, so the bonus to the hit would be a +8 if it's a +1 sword.
Yeah.
And there's other things in there that could make it higher if you really wanted to.
I asked Hawkins what his favorite barbarian build was, and he says, "I only have one."
I only have one.
He played. He played in that one game the werewolf barbarian, which is
he was the barbarian in that, wasn't he?
Yes, he was the old man of the group, and he was mad.
Yeah. What? Ask him if he remembers what path that barbarian had.
Okay.
Because I don't remember off the top of my head. I know there's the 3 paths in the base book, the player's handbook. You've got the path of the berserker, path of the totem warrior, which is what Jesse or Panda or whatever chose.
That was his optimum choice, he said, because the bear.
Yeah, the bear.
And a lot of people online, I listen to a lot of different people talk about barbarian. A lot of them went back to this whole thing of gaining the might of the bear. Strength checks have advantage on strength checks made to push, pull, lift, or break objects.
Yeah, and your carrying capacity is doubled, and you have an advantage on all strength checks to push, pull, lift, or break objects. But didn't the half orc already have advantage on?
I think so. They start to overlap here a little bit.
Yeah, they really
in some situations. Well, the eagle you can see for a mile.
Yeah, the bear also gives you resistance to all weapons except all damage except psychic damage.
Yeah, that's the one he kept going back to. It's like, you only got to worry about psychic damage, and for a barbarian, that just kind of makes sense.
And the last one at 14th level, you all creatures within 5 feet of you that are hostile to you have disadvantage on their attack rolls on top of it.
Yeah, we were talking about that. I told him, I said, you know why? It's because everyone in your vicinity has got one eye on the big guy.
Yeah, everybody's scared shitless. That's why.
You may be trying to kill the wizard, but you know that barbarians is within attacking range of you, and you've got an eyeball on him.
Is he within 40 feet of me? Yes, I'm dead.
That's exactly what everybody's asking. Is he close enough to attack me? Is he going to just run up behind me?
Get the tape measure.
Yeah. And the eagle, not many people are going to go that route. They're going for optimum. They're going to go bear. But the eagle, you give the barbarian a flying speed.
Fantastic. Who doesn't like a flying barbarian? Just don't look up the loincloth. It'll be fine.
14th, yeah, really. That's a great view. 14th level, and he's flying.
Yeah. He's up off the ground.
I think he says it's short burst. It's sort of like the Hulk. The Hulk doesn't fly. He jumps. And it sounds a lot like that because he if you end your turn in the air, there's nothing else to hold you aloft. You're coming down.
Yeah. So it's more like, I like that example. It's more like a Hulk's long jump than it is a fly. Realistically, it is. Hey, Hellkid. All right, I'm here for now. Who knows how long the internet will last with the storm? Yeah, I feel you. That's why we ended up getting started so late. The weather was pretty rough up here. So,
okay, Path of the Beast, which makes sense with the werewolf. I should know these things. I was the DM, and I can't remember half of it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's all the same. It's all good.
I just remember he did damage. I mean, he was just.
He did some nasty damage.
He took most of the damage. That's one other thing that the barbarian's supposed to do, and he played him well because he got out there and he took a lot of damage up front. and he may have went down at least once, but he's not enough to worry about, you know?
Yeah, no, definitely not enough to worry about.
Where's the Path of the Beast at?
It's right here, actually. It is in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've got it here too. I
Um,
never have looked that one over very well.
we can start with that one, actually. We'll go through some of the paths. We'll start there. This one is in, like we said, Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. Barbarians who walk the path of the beast draw their rage from a bestial spark burning within their soul. The beast bursts forth in throes of rage, physically transforming the barbarian. They become feral looking, kind of makes sense with a werewolf. You know, they're already wolfed out, and then you had this on top of it. One of the origins is one of your parents is a lycanthrope.
Yep.
So there's that. Form of the beast. You can either get bite, claws, or a tail. I'm sure he took the bite. Maybe the claws. Each time you rage, so it changes. So you can use all of them.
Wow.
Just depends
nice.
on time. I think the totem's the same way, isn't it? Or do you have to pick one? Oh, no, you have to pick one. You get the totem spirit. You have to pick your totem then. Anyway. But yeah, the bestial soul, 6th level. Feral power within you increases, causing natural weapons to form. The beast count as magical weapons.
There we go, yeah.
Yeah, you also gain a swimming speed equal to your walking speed. You can breathe underwater. You gain a climbing speed equal to your walking speed. And when you jump, you can make a strength or athletics check to extend your jump by a number of feet equal to the check's total. You can make
Saw him do that.
Special check only once per turn. Once per turn. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Once again, we go back to the Hulk, and he's jumping across the
yeah. He's just jumping all over town. You get the Infectious Fury. When you hit a creature with your natural weapons while you're raging, the beast within you can curse your target with a rabid fury. It has to make a wisdom saving throw, or it gets one of the bottom or one of the choices below. Target must use his reaction to make a melee attack against another creature of your choice that you can see, or it takes 2d12 psychic damage. You know, just whichever you like better.
Dang.
The next one's Call of the Hunt. The beast within you grows so powerful that you can spread its ferocity to others and gain resilience from them joining your hunt. When you enter your rage, you can choose a number of other willing creatures you can see within 30 feet equal to your Constitution score or modifier. You gain 5 temporary hit points for each creature that accepts. Until the rage ends, the chosen creature can use the following benefits once per turn. When the creature hits a target with an attack and deals damage to it, it can roll a d6 and gain bonus to the damage equal to the number rolled. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all extended uses when you finish a long rest.
Nice.
It's ridiculous.
Good choice.
Yeah, it's very flavor fitting for a werewolf. Very much so. I guess since we're on Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, this is the next one, and this is actually the one that Lexi chose for her barbarian.
Really? That's right. You told me that. I'm sorry.
The Path of Wild Magic. Many places in the multiverse abound with beauty, intense emotion, and rampant magic. The Feywild, the upper planes, and the other realms of supernatural power radiate with such forces they can profoundly influence people. People of deep feeling, barbarians, are especially susceptible to these wild influences, with some barbarians being transformed by the magic. So this barbarian has magic living within them, and it's kind of like the wild magic that a sorcerer can have to go through sometimes, except this is always beneficial, not always bad.
That's Hawkins' internet went out again.
Yeah, so, I kind of figured.
Yeah, he's talking to me, but he also has another character who's actually major league rogue. He's got like one level of sorcerer because of story element, but he, that could be kind of wild. It could be good, it could be bad. It's a chaos element.
Yeah, and it is in this too. It's a little more controlled, but not much. So at third level, you get magic awareness. As an action, you can open your awareness to the presence of concentrated magic until the end of your next turn. You know the location of any spell or magic item within 60 feet of you
What?
that isn't behind total cover.
Oh, okay.
When you sense a spell, you learn the school of magic it belongs to. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all extended uses after a long rest.
So it's something. It's not something that's on all the time. It's just
Yes.
you've got to extend that.
Yeah.
That one point to do it. But that is. I mean.
Yeah. It's
It's not like I said, not behind a wall or something. You're looking at the guy holding it.
Yeah.
That dude's got a magic weapon.
Yeah. You're like, I wonder what that necklace is.
Yeah,
I want it.
I want it now.
Yeah. The other one you get is the Wild Surge. The magic energy roiling inside of you sometimes erupts from within you. You will have to roll on the wild magic table to determine the magical effect produced. If the effect requires a saving throw, the DC equals 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus your constitution modifier.
Nice.
Now, I'm not going to read all these word for word. There's 8 of them. So we'll just kind of give you the base. If you want to know, it's in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, page 26. Shadowy tendrils lash around you. Each creature of your choice that you can see within 30 feet must make the saving throw or take necrotic damage.
Dang.
Number 2 is you can teleport 30 feet in an unoccupied space that you can see until the rage ends. You can use this effect again on each of your turns as a bonus action. So suddenly the barbarian is teleporting around the map.
Each of your turns.
Yeah, each of your turns as a bonus action. So it's not your movement, it's the bonus action.
Okay, that's more terrifying than a flying barbarian. Okay.
It's just teleporting. But
Absolutely.
number 3, an intangible spirit, which looks like a flump or a pixie, your choice, appears within 5 feet of a creature of your choice that you can see within 30 feet. At the end of your current turn, the spirit explodes.
Oh my God.
Number 4, magic infuses a weapon of your choice that you're holding. It gets you become Thor. You can throw the weapon and it comes back.
Wow.
Yeah. Number 5, whenever a creature hits you with an attack roll before your rage ends, that creature takes 1d6 force damage as the magic lashes out in retribution.
Oh my gosh.
Number 6, until your rage ends, you are surrounded by multicolored protective light. You gain a +1 bonus to your AC, and while within 10 feet of you, your allies gain the same bonus.
What in the world? Everybody stay close.
Yeah, number 7, flowers and vines grow around you, makes everything rough terrain for your enemies. Number 8, a bolt of lightning shoots out of your chest like your Iron Man. And you can do it on each of your turns as a bonus action until your rage ends.
All right, man. Okay, Tasha, you're drunk. Go home. Man, I'm telling you, this is nothing. Well, nothing. It's sort of like the wild magic thing, but that wild magic list that's in Player's Handbook is there's a lot of stuff that you're blowing up your own teammates. There's none of these. They have made it very group friendly.
Yeah.
So you're not hurting your group at all.
You know what's messed up is this is the toned down version. In the Unearthed Arcana, it was called the Wild Soul, and it was a little stronger.
Wow. It's a barbarian. You tone it down a little bit. Thanks.
At 6th level, it gets bolstering magic. You can harness your wild magic to bolster yourself or a companion. As an action, you can touch one creature, which can be yourself, and confer one of the following benefits to that creature. They get a D3 to any ability or attack rolls they make, or they can roll a D3 and the creature regains expended spell slots for whatever number was rolled. So you can help your wizard get some spell slots back, or a sorcerer or whatever.
God. All I can see is a barbarian bard mixture where you get bonuses when you touch yourself. Anyway.
Oh, wow. Okay. Oh,
sorry.
You get the unstable backlash also at 10th level.
Yeah.
You can When you're imperiled during your rage, the magic within you lashes out. Immediately after you take damage or fail a saving throw while raging, you can use your reaction to roll on the wild magic table and immediately produce the effect rolled. This effect replaces your current wild magic effect. So as a reaction, you magically get one of these all of a sudden.
Wow.
And it happens instantly, which is amazing. The best part is on Controlled Surge. When you roll on the wild magic chart, you get to choose what happens.
Okay.
So I'm Iron Man all the time.
Damn. I can't wait to see this in action because this is, I kind of wish you'd surprised me because this is nothing like what I was expecting out of this path, just to tell you the truth.
Oh, just
okay.
Wait, it gets better.
Okay. Oh, has it got more?
Oh, no, that's it. I was talking about the character has more.
Oh, I know. The weird thing about this build, this path, back in the day, here we go. I'm going to take you back in the Wayback Machine to 1982.
Okay, 1982.
There was a guy who played with his son as a barbarian, and the whole thing about it then was they were afraid of magic early on in their levels. Mm-hmm. They wouldn't have anything to do with it.
Yeah, they were terrified.
I have it here somewhere. I've got so much stuff up. But the 1985 Unearthed, it's called Unearthed Arcana, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And it was done by Gary Gygax. That's how old it is. And it had a list. Like at first level, they're going to be weirded out by magic. They had a whole list of telling you that this guy's going to it's going to be a it's going to be a process, okay? Because he's from somewhere that doesn't do magic, doesn't not only is he weirded out about it, but he looks at it as crazy evil or just something to stay away from. So if you're a wizard in the group, he's not going to like you for a little while. Mm-hmm. But that's real old school. It's interesting that we've come so far that now we have a barbarian path that deals in wild magic. That's strange. That's wild.
It's magic.
It's magical.
But yeah, you get so that was Tasha's guide, our cauldron of everything. So we might as well just move to Xanathar's guide to everything.
Of course. There's three of them in there. There's
three of them in here, and to me, they're not as interesting. One of them sounds really cool, but really made me sad when I read it.
Yeah, that happens.
There's the Path of the Ancestral Guardian, which is kind of cool. We're not going to go through and read all of these. This will take for absolute ever. But pretty much it's calling on your ancestors to help you out. There's a lot of damage reduction. There's a lot of different spells that give you kind of cantrips. More clerical and paladin-like than wizard or sorcerer. It's pretty cool. There's a lot of
buffs. It's one of them I was talking about that had a lot more supportive going on and very flavorful when it comes to your rage is fueled by the anger of your ancestors. It wells up from your bloodline even. It's great, but it's not as optimal, if you will. It's worth playing. Yeah. Okay. If you're jumping through the barbarians and you love just playing barbarians, you should stop there once. Yeah, at least.
And remember, this is just on top of everything else a barbarian gets. Like they're still strong as hell. They're still gonna bash things to death without the rage, without this stuff. This is all just extra. But here's the one that made me sad. We were reading it, and I was giving options to Lexi, and she heard Path of the Storm Herald.
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, oh, man, that sounds really cool.
It does.
And I was like, it does. It sounds amazing. And then we read it, and I went, wow, that sucks. I think this is one of the few that I could actually look at and go, I wouldn't play that.
Wow. Yeah. I didn't go through the whole thing, but it did sound... A lot of people had the same attitude, believe me.
it's just so like you get a storm aura that's around you, right? It extends 10 feet out from you, and it does certain things. When people get into it, they have DCs that they have to make depending on um, the storm path you chose, like desert, sea, or tundra. And it just like it'll do 2D. Let's see, you gain 2 temporary hit points as icy spirits inure it to what? Inure it to suffering. Temporary hit points increase. Blah blah blah. You get 6 temporary hit points at 20th level. Like,
jeez, that's a lot, right?
Yeah, and it's like, okay, so I can give it to each creature that's within my aura. My aura is 10 feet, mind you.
Yeah.
Which isn't that far.
No, not really.
And at 20th level, I can give them 6 extra hit points. Oh, buddy.
Oh, man,
No,
it'll save the party.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, a goblin could sneeze on me at 20th level and almost kill me 6 hit points.
Yeah.
It's just, I hate it. I think it sounds so cool, and the art in the book is really cool if you're looking at it with the lightning and the mountains and all that. And it's like even their big thing at 14th level, they get the Raging Storm. Let's stick with the same thing, right? You chose Tundra. Whenever the effects of your storm aura is activated, you can choose one creature you can see. That creature must succeed a strength saving throw, or its speed is reduced till 0. That's it. At 14th level, the highest thing this thing can get is I can stop you from moving. If I remember right, a wizard can do that with a 4th level spell.
Yeah.
Probably a 2nd level spell if he just puts him to sleep.
Yeah, it seems underwhelming. And as much as Panda is excited about the whole storm thing, he has a storm sorcerer, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't even sneeze at this. He didn't even talk about it. And I know why now, once you get... it could use some work.
It definitely could. Let's see, I will be blocking this person. They asked if we wanted to be friends by buying followers.
Yeah. That guy shows up about once every couple of weeks. Yeah.
Well, how nice
Thanks.
of him.
But no thanks. Yeah. We don't buy friends here.
Let's see. Spam.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a bot account. I definitely do.
You have been spammed, sir. The next one is the one that we went with Zect. No, we went Berserker.
Yeah, You guys definitely went Berserker with Zect.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, this is no.
The Zealot is interesting.
It is.
You get the Divine Fury. You channel that Divine Fury into your weapon strikes while you're raging. You can do extra damage equal to 1d6 plus half your Barbarian level. So at 20th level, you could do 1d6 plus 10 extra damage, and it's necrotic or radiant. You choose. So
damn, yeah.
Which means you can flip it back and forth depending on what you're fighting.
You're channeling both, buddy.
Yeah, you got the Warrior of the Gods. Your soul is marked for endless battle. If a spell such as Raise Dead has the sole effect of restoring you to life, but not undeath, the caster doesn't need the material components. So they can just bring you back to life.
Yep, bring me back.
And it's all stuff like that, right? Like it's a cleric with beefy hits behind it.
The last one, I think, is what we talked about. It's like this guy can fight beyond death more than a normal barbarian can.
However, you won't die from failing the death saving throws. You don't die until your rage ends, and then you only die if you still have 0.
So if you die on that first moment of rage, you've got 9 more rounds.
Yeah, to get
battle.
To get above 0, or to just kill everything and let them not need the material components to bring you back.
Yeah.
It's perfect. It's fantastic.
It's nuts, but yeah, I like that one a lot.
Yeah, no, that one's good. Just the Storm Herald still.
Yeah, that was probably on the bottom rung, and I stayed away from the guys that which one's the best ones kind of thing. And I bet you if I went to all of them, the Storm Herald will end up on bottom every time.
It's going to end up at the F tier for sure. It's
Yep.
not, especially compared to all the others. If you
Yeah.
were trying to optimize it any shape or form, it's going to be on the bottom because it just does not do enough to make it worth it.
Yeah.
But let's talk about Zek for a minute with that Berserker path. It makes sense for him. You want to tell everybody a little bit about Zek, those that don't know him or have not read the article, while I get the link to the article so I can put it in the chat.
Sure. Absolutely. I'll give you some information. We did a decent write up in the blog. One of our character references, Zekt the Immortal, Zekt the Immortal. Basically, you DMs out there that's listening, or maybe some of you players can feel me too. You have that one NPC that either you or your DM made up on the fly. Okay.
Yeah.
He didn't have any intentions. It's like, okay, we need a character here. There's Zekt, and he thinks he's immortal for some reason. He's a little delusional, and not only did they like the character, but Panda, who was playing the sorcerer I talked about earlier, absconded with him, took him back to the world that he originated from, and now this thing is loose on my home world.
Yeah, and now he thinks he's a pirate, but that's a story for another day.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, maybe we'll give you the whole story someday. But he's a great character. The Berserker works because he's been through so much. I mean, think about a goblin. Goblin, ever think they'll ever see a dragon and live to tell the tale? That's not happening because they usually all die. And he lived under a dragon that he knew could kill him at any moment. It was his master for a long time. So the last thing you guys did on his homeworld was fight this tremendously powerful dragon for your level, especially.
Yeah.
And he survived it.
Yeah, he didn't die. It was amazing.
And so it fueled his delusion even farther. He doesn't think he can die now.
I say now he definitely thinks he's immortal.
Going from a goblin who figures they're going to die at any moment to this character who thinks they can never die, jumping out in front of cannonballs, just jumping the ships, jumping at the pirates, screaming at a band of normal pirates and giving them orders, and the intimidation factor is thick with him.
It's because he's got the confidence. He believes
Oh,
it.
he does. I mean, it's nuts. And Panda, finally, I'm like, okay, you're going to have to make some numbers for this thing.
Yeah.
Because he was just flavor. I mean, he was just jumping around. I had some really kind of thrown together stuff.
Yeah.
I've got a couple places I go to for some make a character things. But they're not well thought out. And I'm like, I've been carrying around this build that I just automatically did online. You need to make the character. And so he did that. We did a character reference. He made a 10th level character because the rest of the characters are 10th, 12th level. I told him, I said, if this thing is going to survive, it needs to be at least 10th level. But it already, with his build and going the way of the Berserker, he has a 20 strength.
Yeah.
This is Panda. Our man Panda is the optimizer. He likes to be called a min-maxer.
He does.
And he is that. If you want an optimum character, you go to him. He loves making characters no matter what it is.
He does.
But this thing has a 20 strength, an 18 dexterity, an 18 constitution. Now, that's as far as his great rolls go. Nothing else. I mean, charisma's a 12, which amazes the hell out of me. I don't know where he got that.
I have no idea.
That's more intimidation than anything.
Definitely.
But
definitely.
Intelligent and wisdom are both an 8 and 7. So he's not too smart. Go figure.
Yeah, he's not the brightest. That's fine though. But With the Berserker path, you get so much fun stuff. You get that 10th level, which makes sense. If he's 10th level, you get that intimidating presence. You can use an action to frighten someone with your menacing presence.
See, and this is funny because he built that after that whole thing with the pirates.
Yeah,
which they were making rolls everywhere, whether they're buying this thing, if it was that scary or not, and they were normal pirates. Now the big guys weren't going to be that scared, but the normal pirates were terrified of Zek and did whatever he told them to.
Yeah, at 14th level they get to. If they take damage from a creature within 5 feet of them, they can use their reaction to get a melee attack. So that's always fun. But yeah, let's see. We already talked about the Path of the Totem Warrior. There's all sorts of fun there. We talked about the Berserker. We've talked about most of the extra ones. Is there any that we missed that you want to talk about before we move on to talking about some other stuff with Barbarians?
That's all I have up right now, and I can't remember anything. I mean, anything that popped up that much.
Yeah, no, me either. There's a couple others that I know are out there, but they're not. They're either not that different or they're just not official, and we don't want to go through every homebrew barbarian path that we found.
Oh, I know. There's. I mean, everybody knows. There's millions of them online.
Of course.
Be careful, of course. But hey, try them out.
Make sure it's good for you and your table, and if it works, it works.
Okay. One thing we talk about races. We've hit the big three: Goliath, half orc, and dwarf, mountain dwarf. The fourth one that makes, of course, the variant human.
Yeah.
And besides some others that make great barbarians, like Dragonborn, of course, and anything goblinoid. There's one in particular in my brain. Oh, I think it'd be interesting to play a tiefling barbarian.
That would be interesting, having the fiend blood. And all that. That would definitely add an interesting mix to it,
And
I could be for that.
Yeah, because he gets fire resistance. So your barbarian now is resistant against fire.
Yeah, there you go.
If he doesn't have that other feature that gives him resistance to everything but psychic damage.
Yeah.
I think it'd be very flavorful. It won't be the optimum build, but I think it'd be real interesting.
Yeah, I think so. I think it could be. I think some of my favorites are the small races like goblins or halflings being barbarians, just because it is so anti. It's outside of the norm, and then breaks all the stereotypes, and then they still just do these massive amounts of damage. You see an 8-foot Goliath do that kind of damage. You're like, I saw that coming.
It's like with Zect and halflings. I feel halflings, and maybe it's just the experience I've had in game. It's like I see halflings have that confidence. That's why they make great fighters. There are numbers, of course, that will back that up. Because they've got that confidence to go into battle, even though they don't have the size, they have the heart and the fuel that fires that kind of thing. I can see that, and it's like you said, the goblinoids like Zect. It's just a goblin, and most goblins are fodder. And you get this one. You're playing this character, although he is an NPC. I'd love to play Zect, and I do all the time when it comes to the flavor stuff. But I'd love to play him as a character in a game somewhere because it's just. Like you said, I want to see Zek grapple something twice his size and win.
He'd probably try too.
He would, yeah.
The scary thing is with a 20 strength, he might win.
He's got a good chance.
He would definitely do better than my rogue did trying to grapple that guy.
That was great. Someday we're going to share that story, the greatest grapple of all time. Yeah,
that was rough. I almost lost a leg.
Yeah. You almost You almost used one of your lives. Dang it.
So, what is some of the cool stuff that you found that you wanted to talk about with Barbarians?
There's a lot of it feels into flavor, and especially talking possible. I mean, when you play a barbarian, most people have no wish to multi-class.
Mm-hmm.
But I think listening to people talk about it and seeing it, and one guy even broke it down, which is the best classes that would multi-class with this.
Yeah.
And for flavor, some of it would be really interesting. I'd love to do a write-up, and I'm still trying to figure out how I would do it and make it work.
Uh-huh.
Either, and because it was mentioned, kind of a Hulk build. Instead of going the traditional, he's a dumb barbarian that just gets mad and destroys people, which is fine. I'm not poo-pooing on that. But the Hulk, as a smart guy, or a decently smart guy, he's not dumb. And he's fighting this inner demon that sometimes gets triggered.
Yeah.
Which brings me back to what you said about strong emotion. I would love to build a character like that where the character doesn't want to go into rage, but you're going to get in situations where you're either going to have to let it go or you're going to be forced into letting this monster out. And you don't transform or anything.
See, that's one of... Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
So that's one of the things I thought about. Like, I was thinking about if I was going to build a barbarian and I wanted to do something incredibly flavorful, I'm the opposite of Panda. Usually I could not really care if it's optimal at all. The last character I made was Carius, my rogue, and I rolled numbers, and I rolled a 9, a 7, and a 10 for 3 out of my 3 stats. And I was like, no, you know what? We're going to roll with it. So he's dumber than a brick, but he will kill you if you don't keep your eyes on him.
That's one of the great character building stories that we have. I really appreciate you hanging with that because he's a great character.
He is. I love taking odd things, and I was thinking, here's what I would do. It's funny that you mentioned the Hulk kind of thing. I would make a barbarian. I would make him probably a human, maybe something smaller, nothing massive. Or you could do it with a massive one too. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Pick your race. But I would do him that way, and I would have him be a retired fighter, like army man, whatever you want to call him. Yeah. And just so sick of war, and he hates fighting, and he hates killing people. And even when he goes into battle, he refuses to fight until somebody hits him. And the second he gets hit, instantly snap him into a rage first time he gets hit in any battle, and he just loses control. And I would make him use the rage every time he could until he was out, and then once the rage was gone, I wouldn't let him fight anymore. We'd have to find other ways to work around it. But I think it would be incredibly interesting to have a barbarian that would only fight in a rage.
Yeah, it'd be a hard build. If you could do a multi-class the right way, I wouldn't suggest going wizard barbarian, of course. No. That's not going to work. I think it's the worst of the choices.
Maybe artificer? I know that sounds weird, but
think about it.
Yeah.
When he's not in rage, well, even if he's in rage, he's got this arm cannon on.
Yeah.
I made it myself, blowing shit up.
Yeah.
And see, I like stopping and thinking outside the box. Sort of a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde would be interesting. Almost a transformation where he may not get huge or anything, but like the Hulk or anything, or Mr. Hyde, but he might fill out more. It's sort of like Split.
Yeah, exactly.
The Beast. Mm-hmm. He fills out more. He's stronger, and it's part of his rage.
So that's what I was thinking. You give him that the Path of the Beast, and
yes,
when he rages, he becomes a little more feral.
And you can even go farther with that build. This would be you and the DM now. We'll have to get together on this. But you can almost do a transformation. In one of our zombie game that we played years ago, Philip, was it Philip? Or it was Jesse. Jesse built a doctor character who had a other personality inside that he would flip to when certain things happened.
Yeah.
and it was kind of transformative, and it was interesting. But maybe go one step forward, where you've got numbers for the one character. I don't know. This is probably pushing it too far. And then when he rages, maybe flip his intelligence and his strength roll or something. Just something really simple that suddenly he's a bruiser. I don't know. That might be giving the character way too much, but I think it'd be interesting.
I think it would be cool. I think you, like you said, it'd be a hard build, and you would have to really work with your DM or your player and kind of work out the kinks on how exactly that would work. But I think you could do some really cool stuff with it. I'm trying to look up something because I had an idea the other day.
I mean, you imagine the look on someone's face when this wizard looking or whatever it is, some smaller guy who doesn't look intimidating at all, and suddenly he hulks out and kicks your ass out of nowhere. It's just like the shock and intimidation factor is real.
He just loses his mind.
Yes, and I don't know, that interests me. The weird stuff interests me, of course, but it's like, how do you pull that kind of shit off without breaking the character totally and having something that you can't control in game? That's the thing. It almost needs some play testing, which means you have to break a few sessions to make a good character build there.
Let's see here.
But you know, and it's funny that you mentioned the artificer, because I thought, and that's the whole thing. Well, they do spells, so when he's in rage, he can't do spells, so that's just not right. We can't do that. What about when he's not in rage?
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, he could absolutely.
Yeah. Now, if he has to break out of whatever spells he's doing and do rage to save his ass, that's fine. But he doesn't always have to be enraged, and that's not everything, especially if he's a multi-class character. And artificer, like I said, I can see a hand cannon on this thing. On one arm, say the not sword arm or battle axe arm or whatever he's using, the weapon arm, and he's blowing people away with this cannon. This was it Eldritch cannon, I think they call it.
Yeah.
And swinging that great axe with the other. Oh, God, that would be scary as hell.
See, I was thinking the other day of things we could talk about today.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so this is a sneak peek for anybody watching. I've started doing articles on the website. What exactly did I call it? DnD crossover. Last week I did Yawgmoth, which is one of the big bads for Magic the Gathering's past. It's a lot of fun to do. Try to bring him and make him into a D&D character and how I would do that. But this week's is going to one of my personal favorite fandoms of all time, and that's Spider-Man. And I'm going to make Venom a D&D character.
Oh, my God.
And the way I'm going to do this, you have to read the article to get the whole story. But long story short is I'm going to make him a barbarian so that when he rages, we'll probably end up giving him Path of the Beast. I'll look through it, but that's probably going to be it.
The special transformation, basically.
But in Von Richten's Guide to Ravenloft, there is a character creation option of a symbiote nature.
Oh, yeah.
You have a living creature within you, and we're going to use the rules of the living tattoo as his venom. And then when he does the primal transformation, it would be the tattoo enveloping him and him becoming full-blown
cannot wait
evil.
to see that.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, you're right. That sounds amazing.
Yes.
You might look up. I'm sure people have done it before.
Oh, I'm sure.
Not that you have to do it the way they're doing it, because we've got Van Richten's now.
Yeah.
Which is different. That we haven't had that till this year.
Yeah.
And that symbiote thing, yeah, absolutely, good idea.
Yeah, it helps. It helps keep you alive even more than a barbarian already has. And the downside is if your symbiote has an agenda, and if you don't do its agenda when you have the chance, like if you have the option to do it and don't, things don't go well. The symbiote gets mad.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, because
it's so
you're
fitting
dealing with
for
two
Venom.
characters. And to be interesting to see them role play these two personalities in one that's it's almost like we were talking about with Venom's a lot close to the Hulk and the Dr. Jekyll thing. It's got a twist on it,
Yeah.
but basically it'd be interesting to see this because you watch the movie and it's a little buddy cop-ish, but Eddie's always like, no, you can't eat him, that kind of thing.
Yeah, like I wish I know why the movies are comical. I wish they weren't as comical as they are.
Yeah,
But I do find it funny, some of the, realizing that Venom is still evil. He will just eat people that he doesn't like.
see, the funny thing is, like we talked about the Barbarian, he's primal, is what he is.
Yeah.
He is a beast that, is not used to thinking about morality, and now he's a part of this creature who morality is a part of our nature. We struggle with it, and so he's having to deal with that, and that's part of the fun of watching Venom is the struggle between different ideals of life and morality.
Yeah, no, it really is. But anything else interesting that you found through your looks? I know you said you found a lot of cool stuff. Yeah,
there's really, and actually, one of the worst multi-class was monk. But anyway,
a monk barbarian.
Is like it just sounds bad really fast.
Yeah, it's like
I could imagine a paladin barbarian. All right.
Okay.
Yeah. Take the two tankish builds in D&D and shove them together. The fun thing is the divine smites.
Oh.
They are not spells.
Oh man, they're not.
So he does in a rage. He can divine smite.
Oh my god!
Hell out of
he just baseball bat you across the room.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's like
so good. But I mean, you just give your barbarian the zealot path, and then you're just making the paladin stronger. Like,
God,
it would just be.
Write that down.
It'd be a very good build. It's just getting stronger as it goes.
But that was one of them that stuck out.
That would be cool. I could see that. I could see a warlock to a point. A barbarian that made a pact. A monk barbarian is just a pugilist.
Yeah. I think you can do better. It'd be better even as a fighter because at least you get extra attacks. You get action surges, that kind of thing. But of course, the monk is broken in itself. But
it is.
Both of them start out with the same unarmored defense thing. They kind of get clunky with each other, is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Druids are great because they're tanks already.
You give a barbarian wild shape.
Yeah, you can rage in wild shape.
Oh God! Yeah, it's a feature. It's not a spell.
Yep.
Oh man.
Yeah, this is just reading through these and listening to people talk. It's like I want to build this and I want to build this. I don't think rogue's a great idea.
Say a barbarian rogue.
It sounds kind of anticlimactic.
Yeah.
Because the last thing that the barbarian wants to do is sneak up on anybody. He wants you to see him coming.
But if you could just get him like a level 10 barbarian, level 10 rogue, and make him the assassin, to where as long as he has advantage on the roll, it's a sneak attack.
And how many times does the barbarian get advantage?
We just read it. It's in the player's handbook. At a certain level, they get advantage on their strength.
Yeah, I know. I'm just, oh my God.
Yeah. So then he's just lopping heads off every turn.
It's like it doesn't matter if you see him coming because you will never know he was there.
The sneak of the attack isn't, where'd that come from? It's, oh my God.
It's like that moment, that cinematic moment when they're just looking at you coming and they're just staring like, and it's over before he gets there.
What do you do about it? Where are you gonna go?
It's like a kobold in the headlights. Yeah.
Yeah. Which would almost be funnier to see than Zek would be a kobold barbarian.
Yeah, if we wanted to really go for the fact, if it wasn't for the fact that he was already a goblin, that would have been actually very hilarious.
That would have been pretty funny. Yeah.
Once again, the spellcasters are usually cast out because of the whole rage thing.
Yeah.
I say, why not both? You can rage, and when you're not in rage, or if you run out of rages, what are you going to do? You drop a fireball on somebody.
Oh my god. The barbarian comes out of rage, the whole enemy's forces go, oh, thank God. And then they're like, is that a fucking fireball?
See, if he's exhausted, how does that affect his magic?
I don't think it does it?
I don't know.
As long as they're not concentration spells. A kobold monk barbarian. Oh my god, Hawkeye. You gotta stop.
Okay, Hawkeye, you gotta build it now.
Yeah. Now you gotta build one.
Build it and we will play.
Oh
shit. What was that? What we were just talking about, dang it.
Multi-classing, making them a magic user. Yeah.
Oh, it's exhaustion. I wanted that.
Yeah.
I want to look that up. That's a point to look into. But yeah, like you said, warlock. It'd be interesting a barbarian and what warlock patron that they would be. What kind of primal? I'm thinking a primordial even would be.
Oh, you mean muscle wizards?
Muscle.
yeah, muscle wizards.
I would not feel comfortable unless I was going to do that whole Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde thing where he's a wizard unless he's pushed to a certain point and suddenly, and this just sounds OP is I'll get out. But
that would be funny.
But like the warlock, I said the primal force or primordial would be a great patron.
Yeah.
Because they're all connected to nature and whatnot.
Hawkhead said with your muscle wizard, they cast spells and then when they're out of slots, then they rage.
That's the story. Yeah. That's his secret. When he runs out of spells, he gets mad.
That's my secret, Cat. I'm always out of spell slots.
Oh. Okay, here's another one that came across. Talking about warlocks.
Uh-huh.
How about a barbarian hexblade?
Okay. Yeah, that could be pretty cool.
Let's let that ruminate a little bit there. Just kind of bubble that a little, brew it.
I like it. The hexblades. Let me look it up because I know generally what they do. Let's see here. I'm almost there. Nope, too far. That's a wizard.
Well, it's all focused into weapons.
Yeah. So that would give them so much more when it came to their actual fight. That's invocations. Where is it? Oh, patron. No, that's not patron.
While you're looking that up, somebody was, grading the ranger here, and they're like, "Well, the ranger's kind of underpowered."
Uh-huh.
What are we doing wrong or right that everybody else seems to think the ranger sucks?
I don't know. I don't understand, and I think it's because they're just not. We have a player that plays a ranger that doesn't mind sitting in the back and not getting into the thick of the action, and I think that's where a lot of people get confused. It's a martial class that requires you to do it optimally, to sit back at range and do it.
Yeah, I think that's probably what it is, but her character's brutal.
And plus...
The most brutal character we have.
Yeah. Yeah, but what makes it so good is also the mix of her and Carius together. Yeah. Carius gets the drop on them, hits them, weakens them up, and then she comes through and does more damage when they're hurt. I mean, the two together is just it's a tandem that makes both of them so much better. Because Carius can be stupid and do his thing, knowing that he's got the sniper in the tree behind him.
Gives him a little bit more confidence to be right up on somebody, knowing that he's got that, as my father would say, shit-eating grin on his face. And they're like, what are you? So, and there's big arrow in your chest
I
now.
say suddenly
It's
there's an arrow in your throat, and you're like, oh, that's it. Got it.
what are you laughing at? And don't he said that's what I'm laughing
Yeah.
at.
That right
But yeah,
there, sir.
I like the pack tactics there, and you're right. We've learned to optimize the two of them, and someday we'll talk about that. That's brilliant.
Yeah, it's the range aspect of the class. Not a lot of people like that. Saves for mages with massive damage rolls. Yeah, I get that. From range, you could do more damage with a wizard and stuff, but at the level we're at now, like, it's not unusual for her to pump out 80 damage in a turn with 2 hits. And if it's a big battle situation where she's shooting a volley, like, I mean, she's hitting everything that's within 5 feet of the target she aimed at. It's just raining arrows from above. It's absolutely insanity.
And there's no homebrew to it at all. It is straight from the books.
It's straight from the player's handbook.
yeah, it's the simplest build. And she rips through enemies like crazy. I mean, it'd be great, but once again, you're trying to tell the barbarian that he wants to go a path where he's got to stay away from the enemy. It's like that's where it doesn't work in my mind.
Yeah, Halkett said Ranger to me is somewhat of a team character. They excel when they have someone to play off of, and yeah, that's absolutely right.
Oh, absolutely.
But I think Carius, my rogue, is the exact same way. Like, if I didn't have her or the spell slingers over here, taking all the attention, I mean, I proved it last time we played. If I get in a one-on-one fight with something, I'm in trouble. Like, they grab me and don't let go.
That was just one of those moments where you got in a grapple contest with a barbarian.
Yeah, I've got like an 11 strength. Like, I'm not getting away from this big orc thing.
And part of your salvation, like you said, Sekhmet, the ranger, was over on the other ship putting arrows in him.
Just shooting arrows in him. It was great. It was fantastic. It's the only reason I survived.
Yeah.
But yeah. But back to Halkett said I wouldn't mind doing a ranger next. Yeah, they are fun. I mean, they look fun to me. Yeah. She seems to have a blast playing with Sekhmet. But you need a rain build. What do you mean?
Oh, we need to share rain to the general public. Is that what you're saying?
Oh yeah, he's a rogue, right? Rogue sorcerer, something like that.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Like I mentioned earlier, he's got, I think, 1 level in sorcerer, and I feel, and I'll apologize to Hawkhead here. I was thinking about it this afternoon. It was probably railroaded on him via storytelling, so I apologize for that 1 level. But he makes good use of that wild magic on that first level. I'll tell you that.
I do the same thing with Carius because I've got 1 or 2 levels in sorcerer, and those first level spells are great distractions. It's like, oh, look at the pretty lights, bam, stab you in the neck.
Where you get, I mean, and you don't even need a half and half a build like that to learn to use a few levels, and maybe even get to the first option of that class.
Yeah, get your subclass, level 3.
Yeah.
And then you're good.
Find something that works with the main, class, and just exploit the hell out of it.
Yes.
And I agree. And Rain is a consummate rogue. I mean,
oh yeah.
And him and Carius both are strong rogues. But yeah.
Say wild magic is best magic.
Wild magic is chaos, and that's great. That's great storytelling. Sometimes it's like, well, everybody's taking damage. The fireball went off and blew everybody up. Okay. Hey, Hawkhead, you may have missed it. We were talking about the one build, the wild magic build, wild magic surge, barbarian or whatever. You ought to look at that, because that's broken as hell. After everything Reigns went through with wild magic, this barbarian subclass has it easy. Just saying, go look it up or watch the video later when we put it on, okay?
Yeah, absolutely. And he also said, he wanted that level in Sorcerer.
Okay, I couldn't remember. I always concern myself. We play heavily open world sandbox kind of thing. I know what's going on. I know the motives and everything that's going on, and they kind of determine what they want to do for the most part. So I try not to not railroad, but sandbox it, and it works out most of the time.
Yeah. What about magic items? You know any magic items that you would suggest for your giants, or not giants, barbarians?
That's one that hang on just a second. I saw an article about that same thing, and I don't think I got to it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at some right now. I mean, you got the obvious ones, like the Belt of Giant Strength.
Oh yeah.
It strength boost, but depending on which belt it is, it could increase your strength value to 21 to 29. No big deal.
Yeah. On Reddit, Pope PC says cloak of protection.
Yeah.
Winged boots. Oh, please. Here we have another flying barbarian.
There they go.
Javelin of lightning.
Yeah, see, that's what I was just looking at. I agree. The Javelin of lightning, because what this guy says when he's talking about it is the barbarian suffers from a lack of range usually, so this gives them something to do at a distance while they're getting in.
Yeah,
which makes sense.
Yeah, it's cloak of displacement. These are just kind of normal. Bracers of defense sounds good.
Yeah,
because it doesn't count as armor, right?
I mean, you could do the Belt of Giant Strength, and then the Gauntlets of Ogre Power, both, and then your strength is just insanity.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And you just crush everything that exists. But yeah.
The cape of the mountebank, but I think he's just throwing cool things on him.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, with that, the cape smells like brimstone. That's a great opening. Property of the cape can't be used to get. Oh wait, while wearing it, you can use it to cast a dimension door. Okay, so it's another run spell, which doesn't make any sense for the barbarian.
All right, so I'm going to read this because this is from Woodrow Fulmer on Quora, who said, "What's the? Oh, it's a different question altogether. Oh, but anyway, I'll still read it. Oh, okay, it is barbarian. Okay." So first off, I'll just say that technically, this is what he says. Technically, a player could achieve an AC as high as they want if the DM just feeds them impossibly strong magic items, blah, blah, blah. I would also like to note that the highest to hit bonus attack is a plus 19, a Tarask, which means that anything above a 38 AC is completely useless since a natural 20 will always hit. Realistically, anything above the AC of 25-ish will make the player feel invincible. But for this calculation, I'll be using the core rulebook, the player handbook, and the Dungeon Master's Guide, and all the items will be of rarity very rare or less. This is simply due to the fact that I don't own every 5e book, and the legendary/artifacts tend to ignore the guidelines. Also, not to use any optional rules like feats or boons or anything like that. The highest AC build is going to start off with a Barbarian. A Barbarian is level 19 and has a base Dex and Constitution score of 20. That means that our Barbarian friend can walk around completely nude and still have an AC of 20 via the unarmored defense.
Yeah.
But this Barbarian is no ordinary Barbarian. Our friend is well read and has studied a manual of quickness, of action, and manual of bodily health. These stats increase the AC total up to 22. However, our Barbarian friend doesn't stop there, and he gets to level 20 by multiclassing into one level of Wizard. For now, this Barbarian decides to get dressed and put on a +3 shield, which is a +5 AC, a Ring of Protection +1 AC, Cloak of Protection +1 AC, and a Staff of Power, which is a +2 AC. These boosts total the AC to 31. In addition, our friend gets his friendly party members to cast Warding Bond, Shield of Faith, and Haste to bring our AC to a total whopping of AC of 36.
Oh,
And
good
then with your
grief.
trusty wizard spell, you can always shield yourself up for an AC of 41. At an AC of 41, the barbarian has essentially ascended to godhood. You now have an equal chance to be hit by any creature in the known universe. A natural 20. Gods try to smite you and they miss. Congratulations, you are now Neo in the Matrix. P.S. There are many builds that will get you an AC over 38. However, this is the best build I could get that use the rules as written and follow all the limitations I set, aka
love
regarding
that.
the magic
I'm
items.
sorry. This is the best I can do with what I have. My God.
An AC of 41.
Sir, you're that one guy in the group breaking the game, man. Because all these other guys can't follow that, okay? You got the one guy who learns how to break it enough and gets the right items to be that big,
So good.
and everybody else has to die every game.
And I don't know if you noticed the haste that was in there. So now he's moving 80 feet a turn normally.
No, I didn't catch that. Damn. Forget flying.
Yeah.
Or phasing.
Alkin said, good gods, 41? Yeah, 41.
Exactly. My name is Barry Allen. I'm the fastest barbarian alive. and then you make him. Well, it didn't say anything about race, did it?
No.
Make him a tabaxi. There you go.
Yeah, then he's even faster.
He is a god speedster. He is the god of speed. Suddenly,
He is a god.
I'm not going to go into that. Just go look up a tabaxi and get back to me and tell me I'm wrong. Is that right?
Oh yeah, this is another great feat for barbarians. The Great Weapon Master.
Oh
You can take a -5 penalty on your attack roll, which is already insane. And if you still hit, you do +10 damage.
He's not even trying. He's killing people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Anything that has the word protection in it, cloak, ring, whatever, there's a ring of psychic resistance I think would be good for a barbarian because
Yes.
nobody's going to try to go toe-to-toe with him half the time, but that one wizard's going to try to get in his head and turn him against you or something.
Yeah. Some kind of, I don't know the magic items as well as some people. Like I said, I don't go for the optimal stuff all the time, but some kind of thing that would not allow them to be enchanted or knocked out or, you can't cast sleep on them. Or maybe we just make him an elf and get it over with.
An elf barbarian. There you go.
Just can't be put to sleep. I never have to go to sleep. At a certain point, I don't have to eat.
You wake up and he's still staring. He's like, he's in his little death vigil. He's just waiting for something to kill.
Yes.
Here's a weapon for you, or not a weapon, but armament. Animated shield. Have you ever wanted to have a shield and still be able to use two-handed weapons? This is the shield for you. Damn.
Oh, a dual-wielding animated shield barbarian just going to town.
I think the guy's name is Theo James Taylor on Gamers, vocal.media, something like that. Anyway, that's where I got that.
Yes.
Mantle of spell resistance.
Yeah, I saw something that was like that. And it's like, that does. I mean, that makes sense to a certain extent,
I mean, yeah, like the one guy you were quoting from, it can get really nuts. You got to be careful as a DM because I am the careless DM. You got to be careful what your tank gets a hold of. Yeah,
you really do. Or what kind of headband your dumb rogue gets his hands on.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm a fan. Okay, all right. My one flaw, well, my main flaw as a DM is I love roll charts. And sometimes I got this list of I haven't used it in a while, by the way. We haven't played enough, I guess. But I got this list of magic items and at different levels. And this thing pulled up a rare or ultimate rare or whatever, legendary. Mm-hmm. And it got rolled up. And they found it. And it's like, here, Carius, put this on. Now you're smarter. It's like, what have I done?
It was my Tabaxi rogue who has a natural intelligence of 9.
Yeah.
Got a hold of a headband of intellect, and it took my intelligence to 18. So now I'm a genius.
We're just
No
waiting for
idea
the
what to
time
do with it, but I'm a
where we're going to
genius
have to
now.
take that thing away from him because it's too much.
No.
We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, there ends up being a lot of things in my game. It's like, you know what? We should probably take that away from him. Halkid has a certain sword, which we won't go into, that probably needs to be taken away from him. But I'm not doing it.
Halkid said magic items are for the weak.
Okay. That's the only magic item that he carries with him, as far as I know. Now, baubles and stuff, rings, that's different. But his Kenku has one sword they got stuck with it. I don't know if I'd say it was cursed, but it likes to be used.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see how that goes. I'm not going to release any more because of in-game stuff. But yeah, by the way, Halkid, our last game with the cats and Percival. Now we're in Greece. Percival. Yeah, something you did came back to haunt him. We'll talk to you later on that one. Everybody wants to have a chat.
Yeah. But it's okay because it all ended well.
Oh, it was fun. It was fun. Remind me, Hawkeye, to tell you the story. But anyway, we need to go on.
Die. But yeah, so barbarians can be fun. They can be all sorts of fun. I think they're one of the more, if you like the martial classes and you want to get into the fisticuffs, I think I really think that barbarians are one that you have to do at least once. I think there's so many options and ways to do it. Between everything we talked about at the beginning, all the different paths, all the fun ways you could go against the tropes of the barbarian and not play, Conan the Barbarian, to the weird shit that we're going to do this week on the blog and do, Venom build.
Yeah.
And all this fun stuff. I mean, there's so many things you can do. And you just gotta get, we talk about this all the time. We'll talk about it on here on Cold Brew all the time. I'll almost guarantee it because it comes up a lot. I mean, a lot of the flavor and stuff we do with our characters in our games comes down to the DM and the player having a talk and going, here's what I'd like to do. I know it doesn't technically work that way, but either A, I'm not changing the rules that much, or B, I'm not changing them at all. I just want it to be read this way.
Yeah, that's I was going to say something about that when we hit Tasha's, because the very front of the book, the very first page, you guys can go look it up. Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. It gives you the rules, if you will. Mm-hmm. And the number one rule is that the DM rules. The DM makes the rules and decides the rules. But really, yeah, like we just discussed, that's not totally true. It is true, but it's not totally, because it's a collaboration between the character who's like, I want to break the game, or no, that's not fair. I want to do this thing and not really break the game. Is there a way to do that we can have fun and I can do this? And the DM will step in and try. And as a DM, I try to make that happen as much as I can. There are some. I've never had one of you guys come up with an idea. I'm like, man, that's just a road too far, dude. You need to back off.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I love chaos. So hey.
Yeah, I think there's just so many things you can do when it comes to flavor, like the whole primal thing with them, the beast, not totem, the beast path. Them changing a little bit and trying to make that into a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde kind of situation where they actually do get a little bigger. Maybe not, Goliaths are still considered medium creatures and they're 8 foot tall. Okay. So we could let the little guy get a little bigger and it's not going to be game breaking or even change his size at all.
Okay. Well, let's talk about that for a second, because it has to do with what is a barbarian.
Yeah.
And we think he has to be this hulking, massive, WWE champion looking guy, right?
He's got to look like The Rock.
Got to look like The Rock or something. Yeah. But you could just as easily, like with Zekt. Zekt is not. I mean, he's muscle bound for a goblin, I'm sure, because of a 20 strength.
Yeah.
But a human looking at him and like, oh, that's a little different.
He's not
But
that
a
big.
Goliath would look at him and like, so what? He's a little muscular. Look, he's a little guy. What's the,
Oh, look at
that's
that! He's got a bicep.
yeah. That's bringing a non-traditional look to a barbarian, and I encourage that out of people to be able to stretch it around and play a barbarian, because the barbarian's all about the attitude, I believe, and Hawkhead could back me up for it because he's played a few. That it's about the attitude, going in with that berserker rage or as a zealot, or it's all about this attitude. Like Zek, when he comes into battle, it's like at first you're like, oh, look, that's cute, it's a goblin. By the time you get to the end, it's like, oh my God, it's a goblin. Get it off.
Yeah, I have no problem with people that like to min max or like to try and break the game. I really don't. I mean, I play with Panda all the time, and he does it all the time. My only requirement is that if you're going to do that, that I want to see it in the story. I want to see how you use it and how that becomes a part of who your character is, and he does a good job with that. And I don't mind seeing that. I just don't want you to make the most broken character you can just so you can be the most broken character you can be.
It's a balance, because, and I told you earlier that I've never had one of you make a character that I'm going, you have to back off that. That's just too much.
Yeah.
And I think of, well, I don't think just of Panda at this, because there are characters, the people that play characters in our game, and Hawkhead can back me up on this also, and Panda, that have went for optimization to the point of they just want to break the game. They want a character that's a god. And there's no role playing whatsoever. There's no character really there. It's just some kind of monstrosity that the DM can't control suddenly. And Panda doesn't do that. I don't have that out of him. He loves to make characters. He loves to push the boundaries, but he wants to make a character that can live and breathe and play in a game.
I'm your friendly neighborhood min-maxer.
And he's awake.
Hawkhead said a barbarian is, to me, mind you, generally just a savage on the field of battle, no mercy, and with brutal attacks, but that's just by definition, I guess. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. What are they when they're not doing that, though? There's more to a character than that. They're not all, I mean, Grog wasn't that way all the time, I guess, but it's not all just no brains and all brawn. Yeah. I think it'd be really interesting to play an intelligent barbarian, to have to play it a different way and not just be the me Hulk, me smash, kind of thing.
Because a lot of the barbarians, number one, if you're playing a character in D&D, you are playing an above average person or entity. And these barbarians, they may be barbarians, but they are the leaders. They are the guys that are out front. They're the ones that, lead by example and rally the troops. Mm-hmm. So it's a whole lot more in attitude. Now, it's easier when you're huge. I understand this, but human barbarians, if you look around, they're not. They can only get so big. They're not huge, monstrous, but they have the same attitude, and they're the leaders, and they're the ones that jump out in front and say, "Follow me." And it's a lot about attitude, is what makes him different than just, you say, well, there's a barbarian over here. You're NPC barbarians. Well, but when you're playing him, his head's above the crowd.
Yeah, absolutely. Barbarians can be just like any other character. I mean, really down to whatever you want them to be. It's just a matter of how much in-your-face physical fisticuffs you want to get into. And they're really good at that part.
Listen, folks, and there are people that want a list of rules that and I think it's because they can try to control their DM a little more, because they can bring their DM back down. And 5e doesn't do that. 5e's first comment is, cool your jets, dude, because it goes through the DM. And so if it goes through the DM, then it is gospel. And you can't be barking rules. It's a salad bar.
Howcat just said something that's kind of the same thing. He said, in 3.5, barbarians literally could not read. So they were pushed into Hulk smash. Now in 5e they can be people again. And I think
Yeah.
that's one of the most important differences between 5 and 3.5. 3.5 had a rule for everything, and I loved it. I loved how complicated it was because I knew the game so well. I had all the books, and I could sit there. I was younger. I didn't have a job. I could sit there and read them all day and, get to where I knew all these complicated rules. But there were certain things where it was like that, where it's like I can't read. So, so I have to play the character this way if I can't read. And now in 5, everything's there, but there are many more options. It's not as railroaded into different stereotypes.
Yeah.
And I like that
I mean,
a lot.
there's nothing wrong with playing, and Grog was multidimensional even. I was going to say playing a Grog-like barbarian. Willingham did it well because there was a lot of depth to him. You play. My point is, you play a character. Okay, a lot of guys will pick a barbarian, and that's fine if you want to pick a barbarian because it's simple. That's fine. New players, barbarians are a fun way to start. Just give them an axe and let him go. But a lot of people will decide to take a barbarian so they can justify whatever action they want. It's like, I'm angry and I'm going to do this, or I'm bored with the role playing, so I'm going to do something barbarian to totally mess things up and not think about the story, the characters, and the other players even. So because of its recklessness and abandon, a lot of people will pick it so they can mess junk up.
I just want to be a raging barbarian.
Yeah, Jesus.
You are a raging barbarian, son.
Well, I think it's been a really good first ever cold brew. Like I said, unless you've got anything else, I think we'll start wrapping it up.
Yeah, I think things to look at. One thing we didn't mention, I don't want to talk about it. You go look it up. If you're going to be a mountain dwarf, the battle rager is an option.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
where they actually hug people to death. But anyway, but look that up because it looks interesting. It might be an option if you want to do dwarf, especially.
It does. And Halkett said barbarians are great for new players. They absolutely are. They're a great starter. Daslaw always wanted to play a noble that instead of rage, they seethed with disgust. Yes, that would be a lot of fun.
Let me write that down. That's brilliant.
It is. Me and my wife, she was building a barbarian. We were talking about that when she was getting to it. It's like, it's just intense emotion. Like, what if they were just really sad? Like they hated hurting people, and they get sad, and that pain and sadness made them go into the rage, and that's when they just lost it.
Yeah, it's like they don't really enjoy. Not like most of the barbarian builds, don't enjoy the pain and the destruction that they cause. But when they're confronted with an enemy or a monster, especially a sentient being who damages and loves it and shows, no remorse, that kind of pain, kind of anti-morality could be a trigger that would just like fill them full of, you call it whatever you want, an intense emotion that makes them go at him in a different way.
Yeah, see, and I love stuff like that. What Daslaw said, like that's the kind of flavor I'm talking about. That's the stuff that makes me excited about a character when people talk about him. I'm like, that's what I like. Like a noble barbarian, that's amazing. Not an outlander barbarian, no offense, Panda. Where it's just the booga booga from the hills over here, the booga bear comes down and he's a barbarian. That's what we're gonna do. He can't read or write, but he can smash things with that morning star until the cows come home. But on the opposite end of that, we've got what Daslaw's talking about, which is a very well-educated noble that's rage is built on that disgust for other people, even though they're not a great person, I'm sure. But it's just such a different flavor that it's really fun, and I love to hear about those.
Yeah, Daslaw, I may have to steal that. I mean, and the weird thing, okay, here's something that nobody else is going to get. This is kind of a group thing. One of the major magics on my world that I'm creating is a heart magic. It's an emotion magic. And this just fades into that. It's more
Yeah.
than just rage. It's intense love, even, or you've got a character in your group that you're attached to. You see them. It's like Sekhmet and Carius. You see them hurting. Someone's doing damage, and it just triggers you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this generation understands the word trigger. Come on, it's the same thing, or disgust, like Sloth said, or I've got a whole range of emotions thing there, but that fits real well.
I love it. But like we said at the beginning of this stream, this will be a new every Saturday night thing. We're gonna do the D&D cold brew. Next week we'll probably just hit the next class, which is Bard. That's a fun one. Yeah. I think we've written articles about that too. You know how you could play bards a little bit differently. But we'll do that. So if you're not following us, make sure and follow us and check back next Saturday. Every Thursday, we do Magic the Gathering and we play Arena. We talk about the new cards that have come out in paper. Let's see, Dawson, man, I wish I'd have gotten home sooner for this. I wish so too. But we will be doing it every Saturday. We'll also put this up on the YouTube probably. I'll probably have it up there tomorrow, honestly, because this one just goes up pretty raw. There's not a lot of editing to do. Yeah. So it'll be up there. Let's see if I can copy this. So I can give you the link if you want to.
Yeah, the blog, which all of our articles go to. Like you said, we have some Bard stuff on there already because I have some interesting build ideas, some not traditional stuff. If you watch TikTok, you know what the traditional way is. You'll hear some different stuff out of us. Let me put it that way. Mm-hmm. And I'll probably, on top of putting this video up, I will probably write an article, especially for those that won't hit the video or weren't here, to talk about some of this because it's just intrigues the hell out of me.
There is. No problem, Doslot. Yeah, it's the same handle everywhere. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok.
Okay, Hawkeye. Hold your inner rage for the Bard till next week and let us know why you don't like the Bard.
I can't wait to hear.
Yep.
Hey, thanks for the follow, Dustlaw. I really appreciate it. But yeah, so we'll see you guys next Thursday for Magic, and then we'll be back on Saturday for some more D&D. We'll have a grand old time. But yeah, you can check out the YouTube. We got a video went up there today over the D&D Forgotten Realms set with Magic. It's the sealed we did Thursday.
Yeah, that was really good.
It was.
I'm not sharing mine because it was a train wreck.
And then, but yeah, we'll have this up there tomorrow. I'll get it up there first thing in the morning. Like I said, it's really easy. Not a lot of editing.
We are doing the podcast live tomorrow, right?
Yes, we'll be doing that tomorrow at 10.
10, got you. All right, so be there. We're also, I'm looking for a Monday or Tuesday fill. I'll do myself.
Yeah.
Options I have, Hawkeye's here. We may get back to his Kenku Rogue story, which is off to the side in my world and hasn't been forgotten. It's there. Or we can talk some old D&D lore, which I love to do. I'm old school. I played Gary Gygax's material, you know.
You played back in the day.
Back in the day.
But yeah. So oh yeah, Doslaw, if you missed it earlier, we're going to be later this week on our blog, which is just themagictavern.org. We're going to be putting up a barbarian player option to play it plays Venom. Like once a week we do a D&D crossover. We take a character from another universe, we make him D&D, and this week it's going to be Venom from Spider-Man, and that's going to be a blasty blast. It's going to be a good time. But
yeah, the MTG article you did about Yawgmoth did pretty good. It got a lot of good.
Yeah, I was worried. I was really worried that people were going to pick it apart, but it seemed to have got pretty good reception, and I'm glad because I love it. But yeah, so I guess we'll call that a night. Thank you guys for stopping in, even if it was just for the end. We really appreciate it. Appreciate that follow, Doslaw. And we'll see you guys on Thursday.
All right. Take care, guys.
Tomorrow morning if you want to stop by.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. I'll talk to you later.